Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 4, Supplemental, in our incredible new tutorial series where you're going to learn artificial intelligence or you're going to die trying. Now, what is this lesson for? Supplemental nonsense. Well, in reading the comments after lesson number 4, it became clear to me that a lot of you were struggling, and I want to, before we move on, make sure that everyone understands what's going on. It seems that some of you, when you created a virtual environment and then you started Visual Studio Code would find your virtual environment, and other people, they would create a virtual environment successfully, but then Visual Studio Code would not find it. I want to show you what is happening. I want to recreate that error, and I want to show you how to fix it. Even if you were not having this error, make sure you watch this video so this little gremlin doesn't bite you in the future. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to ask you to go ahead and pour yourself a nice strong cup of iced coffee. That is straight up black coffee poured over ice. No sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. Today I will also be enjoying a little supplemental hydration, and I have a big old tall mug of iced coffee. So I will need you to go pour yourself your iced coffee and your ice water. And as you're doing that, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your support and your encouragement that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and let's figure out this problem that you guys are having. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate the problem, and then I'm going to show you what's going on. Okay, so I am going to come here and I am going to go to the PowerShell, and I will get out of your way and I will go to a screen view. Let's see. Okay, much better. Go to the screen view, and there it is. Now we're going to open up the PowerShell. I'm going to start by going to my home directory. How do we get to the home directory? I put CD for change directory and squiggly. That puts me in the home directory. My username is valued customer. Yours will be something else, so don't expect you to be the valued customer. I'm the valued customer, but just have your username there. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a virtual environment. I'm just going to type Python because I don't care which version it is. It'll be whichever one. If I just type Python, the virtual environment will be the version of Python that has the first path line in your Windows environment, and I don't really care for this illustration, so I'll just say Python and it'll use the first one. I want to create a virtual environment, so I say -m and then venv, and then I want to put like my Python environment. That's kind of a long name, but I will do that, and now I will click enter. I will have another delicious sip of coffee. Mission accomplished. Okay, that looks good. Let's make sure that it actually made it by activating it. And I would do that by going down. Well, what I could just do, I could say my Python environment, and then /scripts, and then /activate. I can activate it without actually going into the folder. And then when I do that, boom, look at that. We now have activated that virtual environment. That just shows we really have a virtual Python environment. And then I can say deactivate to stop it. Okay, so we got a virtual environment. Now let's come over here and let's open up the most excellent Visual Studio Code. And when we do that, we're now going to look and see what virtual environments and what Python interpreters are available to us. I'm going to put Control-Shift-P. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to put Python :select, and you can see there it is, there, select interpreter. So we'll select that. Takes a second to think, and let's see what it found. It found Python Virtual Environment 3.9 and 3.7. Those were the two that I put, the two virtual environments that I put in last week in lesson number 4. And then it found my Python interpreter, the actual interpreters, 3.96, 3.8, 3.7, and 3.6. Okay, so it found my 4 Python interpreters and it found 2 virtual environments. It did not find the virtual environment that I just created. Okay, first of all, why did it find these 4 Python interpreters, just the straight up Python interpreters? Because when I installed those versions of Python, I told the installer to put the path variable in the Windows environment, okay? And because each one of these versions of Python has a line, a path line in the Windows environment, if this doesn't make sense, go back and watch last week's. That is why Visual Studio found them. It goes over to the Windows environment and it looks at the paths, and then it goes and it gets those Python interpreters. That part is clear, okay? Now, these two, this PyAI 3.9 virtual environment, PyAI 3.7 virtual environment, let's look here. I'll show you that. I'm going to go to ENV here, so I'll go to my environmental variables, and then I'm going to come down here to my environmental variables, and then I'm going to look at path, and I'm going to say edit. And if you look here, I'll make this bigger. If you look here, I have my Python interpreters in the script. I have my Python interpreters in the environmental variables, but I don't have my virtual environments. How did Visual Studio find those virtual environments when they're not in the path? Well, the answer is very simple. And the answer is that Visual Studio Code goes and it looks at the paths and it looks in the present working folder. Okay, what is my present working folder? It is Python inside of my documents. Okay, it is Python inside of my documents. So if I come here and I open up a browser and I go to, let's say I go to my documents folder, and then you can see that there is my Python. Okay, that is my working folder right there. This is a better way to do it. I can say open folder, and then I'm in documents, and then there it is. Okay, and we did this last week. We made that Python folder our working folder. Okay, now if you look, last week I created this virtual environment, and I created this virtual environment inside my Visual Studio working folder. If you create it somewhere else, it's not going to find it. So the solution with these virtual environments is not to go add them to the path. The solution is to build the virtual environment inside your Visual Studio working folder. So how would we do that? Well, let's come back to the PowerShell. Okay, and then you can see I'm in home, so I could say cd home, and that is where we built our virtual environment last time. But now I'm going to go cd documents, and then I'm going to go dir, and if you look inside of documents, there is that Python folder. That is the working folder for Visual Studio Code. Why is it the working folder for Visual Studio Code? Because that's the one we open inside of Visual Studio Code. Okay, does this make sense? I know I'm being repetitive, but you got to understand this. Okay, so now I'm going to go down into that. I'm going to say cd Python. Okay, and now inside of this, I'm going to create a virtual environment. So I'm going to say Python. And again, I don't care which version, so I'm just going to say Python, and then I'm going to say -m in venv, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to say my new venv. I'm going to create it. And now I'm going to go into it just to make sure. So I'm going to go my new venv. Okay, and then /scripts with an uppercase S, and then /activate. Okay, boom. All right, it is a virtual environment. It is activated. It is in the old Python folder, which is the Visual Studio working folder. I will deactivate it, and now I will open Visual Studio Code, and then let's see here. Let me click. Click off of this nonsense. There it is. Okay, so now you can see over here is that new virtual environment that I just created. It's just a folder inside of my Python folder. Now if I put Control-Shift-P and then I say select Python interpreter, and it comes up with Python 3.9, Python 3.7, and then 3.9, 3.8, 3.7, 3.6. So it's still not finding it. So now there is a second reason that it doesn't find it. And some of you had the first problem, some of you had the second problem. The second problem is if you create a new virtual environment, you then need to go kill Visual Studio, open it again, and then it actually looks in that folder. Okay, I don't know if I hit reload if it might find it as well. Yeah, you can kill it and then open it again, or you can just hit reload up here, and now you can see my new environment. And there we can select that, and then we can run our Python program. And where is there it is. Okay. There is my happy little hello world. Okay. So some of you were not able to find your virtual environment in Visual Studio Code. It might have been because you didn't create the virtual environment inside of your Visual Studio Code working folder. The other reason that it might have been, you might have put it in your Visual Studio Code working folder, but when you then went to look for it, you didn't hit reload. Now you only have to hit reload the first time. The other thing you could have done was just kill Visual Studio Code and open it up again, and then it goes back and it reads that folder. Okay, guys, man, I feel like I've just talked and talked and talked, and I feel like that I kind of beat this horse to death, but I saw so many people having so much trouble, and then I saw a lot of people were kind of coming up with a solution of, we'll just go add it to the path. You really don't want to add a path to a virtual environment, because the whole purpose of a virtual environment is something that you can just make disappear by killing that folder, by deleting that folder. So you really don't want to go in and edit your system files in order to accommodate a virtual environment like that. Okay, so that was working for some of you, but it's really not the way that you want to do it. Okay, guys, I've had a lot of fun with this, and I hope that this clears things up for you. I hope I haven't bored you with this lesson. Now, what we're going to do is right after I do this, I'm going to go ahead and start making lesson number 5. What I'm going to show you in lesson number 5 is I am going to show you how to install OpenCV, and then we're going to write our first OpenCV program in order to fire off the web camera. I've given you guys a little time as I built the foundation in these classes. I hope you have your webcam in. I gave you a description down below, in the description down below, a link to the webcam, the Logitech webcam that I am using, and so that would be quite helpful if we were using the same one. Okay, guys, leave me a comment down below. I need your feedback on this, okay? That if people are struggling, should I stop and put a supplemental video, or does it just disrupt things for everybody else? Was it that, thousands and thousands of people had no problems and there were 5 people that had a problem, and I kind of interrupted the logical flow of this class for 5 people? Please leave me feedback below. Do you want me to make supplemental classes when people are struggling, or do you want me to just blast through it? Okay, I need your feedback, because I want you guys to like these lessons. I want you to continue to take my classes. So leave me feedback. If you like the lesson, make sure to leave me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, be sure to subscribe. When you do, ring that bell so that you get notifications when my new lessons are coming out. Hey, sorry, I'd promised Saturday night I was going to have a live stream. My internet was not cooperating last night. I think what's happening is that people come home in the evening and everybody fires up Netflix, and you've got a bunch of people watching Netflix, and then I just can't quite get the bandwidth at night in order to maintain a good live stream. So if I'm going to be doing these live streams, I'm going to have to start them a little bit earlier before the internet gets bogged down. And so I might try that next Saturday, and then you guys give me feedback as well on that. Would it be okay if I tried to start the live stream, say, like an hour early? Okay, guys, done a lot of talking. Sorry for that. Next lesson, we're going to move forward. This is Paul McWhorter from toptechboy.com. I will talk to you guys later.